Hi, I'm Abhinay Jain, Director Product-Led Growth at CleverTap for Startups. Today we have Mohit Paliwal from 8 Network, and we are going to talk about a lot of things which are around early stage startups, how the startup journey has been for Mohit, and also few insights on what they are building, what are the challenges they are facing, and how they are tackling those challenges. So, without any ado, let's start. Hi Mohit, how are you?
Hi, Abhinay. I'm good actually, and pleasure to be here on this podcast. Actually, it's my first time being on a podcast, so thank you. I've done a podcast actually on our platform, but this is first time me being as coming as a guest.
Yeah. It's always fantastic to have this conversation. And Mohit, this one is special because we have worked together earlier in one of the startups, so we know each other, and it's always good to see some colleagues building something great, and it's a pleasure talking to you. Mohit is an IT KGP alumni. He has worked with multiple startups, and 8 Network is a startup that he's building. As always, it's always good to hear the startup, right? What is the startup about from the founder himself, right? So, Mohit would love to know what is 8 Network? What are you trying to build? And what is the vision for company? Who's your customer, right? So just we'll start. What is 8 Network in your own words?
Sure. So, 8 Network. So we started as in live decentralized broadcasting, platform. Where the idea was pretty simple that what we felt, what we realized over the time, and it was when we were pursuing our MBA from Masters. We were part of the first batch over there. So the idea was that while we were analyzing different kinds of mediums, right, where people consume some kind of media. So there are primarily four channels, that is audio, video, visual, text. So and there is so much liking, sharing, commenting, retweeting in all the three platforms apart from audio, that you can grow your network. So if you are a content creator and you keep uploading new content over the platforms like LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook or YouTube, people will like, share, and there is a social layer. There's in-depth network effects built in those platforms, that every time you upload something new, you will get exposed to a newer audience, and you grow in popularity. But that was not the case with audio, and primarily because the consumption itself happens in silos, and basically if you like something, maybe you will not share it until unless that person is a friend of yours or you came across a great content piece, right? So it
Correct.
was very difficult to become an influencer in audio space, and that's where actually the idea was that we wanted to build a peer-to-peer streaming service, like
Mm-hmm.
some guy who has written a song or is doing poetry or storytelling. That person can invite his family and friends, and they can go live inside an audio show kind of format, and basically they can stream real time. So that was the idea, and overall in the due course of our journey, we had a lot of iterations. I think we are still solving for the same problem, that is helping audio content creators to get discovered, to be able to build large communities, to be an influencer in true ways. But over the time, we have iterated, and it's not just live anymore. So we do everything from stories, podcasting, audio dramas, immersive productions,
Okay.
which will feel like movies in audio
Oh,
space.
nice.
And we do a lot of non-fictional content also. So it's a platform where you can find, like we like to say, that audio is not limited to music, and there is a very vast world outside music and audio. So you can discover everything on our app, which is even partially related to audio.
Great. So, Mohit, I did get an idea about the concept. I did get the idea about what you're trying to build. May I know the team who's behind it? When did you guys start? Who are the founders? How's the team currently structured?
Yeah, so like I said, initially it was just three of us, three MBA students, trying to make most out of our MBA program. And the idea was that for me, it was pretty clear. Well, I can't speak for the other two co-founders, but for me, it was like, while I'm in an MBA program, yes, we get to learn a lot from, classroom experience. But I wanted to ship a product while I was in the college. That's where in the MBA program, I was also joined by one of my batchmates from IIT Kharagpur. His name is also actually coincidentally Mohit.
Oh, nice.
So we call him Gogo, so to avoid confusion in the team.
Nice.
So Gogo and me, we know each other since last 13 years, and he was running his travel company, and it was year 2020. That's when COVID happened.
Right.
So and it was the first wave. We didn't know that world would be moving anywhere, and uh, so I thought it's a good time to upskill yourselves because everyone was like, you can't do
Reading,
anything. There was
learning,
no
doing new
transport,
things.
nothing.
Yeah, yeah.
Correct. So
Right.
so I joined this program, and right before I was about to join this program, it was my birthday, and Gogo called me that happy birthday, to wish me happy birthday, and he came to know that I'm joining this program. So he was like, he was running a adventure travel startup,
Okay.
and for him also all the bookings got cancelled, and
Correct. Correct.
for anything which was related
Adventure.
to travel, everything was stopped, right?
Correct.
So I told him about this program. He thought, okay, let me also join. So he also joined the program, and that's where we met Yugal. Yugal is my third co-founder. So there are three co-founders: me, other Mohit, and Yugal. Yugal had this great idea, and somehow we developed a great bonding in the first month itself. And he had this great idea that, and he was, by the way, he was, basically a musician. He was part of a band, still an active creator on SoundCloud.
Oh, nice.
So basically, from his experience, basically what he suffered throughout his musical journey was that distribution was very very difficult, right?
Correct.
Even let's say you are a musician, you have created some great a concept or song or album. You can't spend too much money to create a video visual elements, right? Because it takes a lot of money, different kinds of skill set,
Right.
infrastructure. So by just being purely in audio, it's very 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 difficult to get discovered. So best what people do is they will upload it, and then they will share it with their friends. But those friends, matlab, we also get a lot of links from our friends, right? We
Right.
don't necessarily matlab, leave the sharing part. We sometimes even delay opening that link and going through it. So
Correct. Correct.
so that's where he struggled, that distribution is very very difficult, and that's where the peer-to-peer streaming idea came
Okay.
through him.
Mm-hmm.
And we immediately jumped. We knew that it will require some kind of research. Maybe the final product will not look like that, and that is when we started researching.
So, who leads the tech part?
So yeah, so the my third co-founder Yugal, he's the product
You
head,
got.
and the entire tech team reports to him.
Awesome. Nice. Very nice. So that's a good start. Now, let's come to what happens, right? What is the typical journey of a creator? Did you when you started launching, right? I mean, you would have done your V1, V2, V3, right? The feedback that we get from the closed network of first 100, 130, what to say, known circle, right? That's slightly different from the one that when we go out in a market, right? So when you went to market, what are the few things, if you can probably list down a couple of things about the creators that you discovered, maybe through data, maybe through some experiments, maybe through some discussions you had with them, but is there something that you discovered about creators that help you shape the product? If you can share that, that would be great.
Sure. So entire 2022, the year was about iterations, receiving user feedbacks. Uh, we were not looking to acquire users, whatever organically we were growing. Matlab, we were very matlab, happy with that, because we knew that there's no point growing the company until unless we have found at least we are there in terms of PMF, right? So, and the first what we wanted to solve was, because we see on our platform we have to find three kinds of market fits. One is the creator side market fit. uh, the second is listener side market fit, and then basically content market fit, right? So
Okay.
first focus was purely on creator side product market fit. uh, and earlier, so basically we did a small hack. So basically what we did was we needed a lot of creators to go live on the platform first to even receive feedbacks, right? And we didn't have
Right.
much money to get so many to hire a lot of folks. And because it was a live platform, short-lived content, how to activate the platform, right? How to get those first 100 creators. So what we did was, uh, we reached out to, we actually put up a post on LinkedIn looking for RJs, like
Okay,
randomly RJs.
nice.
And LinkedIn was,
Yeah.
if I look back, right, LinkedIn was, I think, the worst place to put up a post for,
RJs.
RJs. Uh, but you'll be surprised, there were close to 500 people, 500 aspiring
Wow.
or professional RJs who applied. And we
Mm-hmm.
started speaking to them, and then we started giving demo to, matlab, ultimately we were able to speak to close to 70, 75. It happened throughout the week, but we were able to demo to them. A lot of those people, a lot of those are creators, they liked the platform, they started using it. So it was more of an manual approach. And
Mm-hmm.
we had this small share button, like, when you're going live, you can, and it was templatized so that the creator doesn't have to work more for building the template. So you could click on the share button and you can broadcast on your Instagram story, and or Facebook story, or put it on Twitter that you are live right now, and people could join, and the stream
Right.
will only stay for like some specific time.
Nice.
So that's how we started it. There were a lot of feedbacks, like, initially when users or creators were going live, they needed a lot of tools, like, adding BGMs, SFXs, fade in, fade out, while there is some music playing, they wanted to control their voice, so all those kind of
Mm-hmm.
stuff. uh, then moderation, like, because it's an UGC platform, so a lot of time,
Right. Right.
basically moderation needs to happen. Then we saw that we were very lucky to integrate platforms like CleverTap very early in our journey. So because it's what, and I actually wrote a post also about this on LinkedIn. So it's very, very important that, basically, while you are figuring out your PMF, you are able to track data,
Correct.
all the events which you define, and are able to track user journeys on the app, how users are moving around, and that will basically, build your first roadmap for product, what needs to be focused, right? Instead of us putting our bias, that, this should be the sequence of things which you need to build. If you have proper tracking in place, which we had, luckily,
Mm-hmm.
we were able to build out, like, I won't say 100% right, but we were 70, 80% right there. What should be the sequence of the things which you need to build to improve the user experience.
Got it. Very nice. So in this, I understand, right? You did a good hack, right? I mean, it's always good getting the first 100 folks through some hacks, and then obviously it's not a scalable solution, but it's a solution that works, right? And in your case, I see the challenge, right? There is already PMF is something, right? I mean, it's very tough for anyone to solve for, and you had to do it for creator, for listeners, everyone, right? So that's a tough challenge you had in front of you. Um, while doing all this, right, is there any incident or any particular thing that you thought, hey, this is going to work, right? Maybe you thought, yes, you or anyone in the team, that this is going to have work, and did not work. Any experience or any such stories that comes to your mind, which you would like to share, and some learnings there?
Yeah, so very early in our journey, we spend a lot of time building a community feature.
Okay.
Like, you could see who all of your friends are listening to what, and it
Mm-hmm.
took a lot of our bandwidth in the beginning itself. But we realized, and we had to shelve it now because it was taking a lot of space on the UI, and nobody was using it for quite a long
Right.
time.
Having been in this space for some time, right, what do you think is the challenge of this space that you face? Is it too competitive? Is it something like it is too kind of early? People are still adopting, right? People are not used to audio as a format, or maybe third thing is monetization, or anything, any other challenge. Is there something that you feel is probably the biggest problem in this space at this point when you are trying to solve it?
No, I think sometimes what happens is that, and it has happened with a lot of companies, which I feel, and we have been slightly headstrong in that regard. Is sometimes what happens is that a lot of, uh, I would say, vanity metrics, or basically things which you are uh, trying to track might give you a different sign, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, just to give you an example, uh, eh, when we started live, we were getting a lot of traction through people just doing conversations,
Okay.
and those were, basically they were streaming for long hours. You're getting stream minutes. So if you look that as a category, like, building something for conversation, just people hanging out over live, uh, it seemed like a great idea that time. But
Mm-hmm.
we were very very sure from the beginning that what we want to build is an audio show where it's led by content, not conversations, right?
Okay.
And if we look back, what, basically, if you look at from a different lens, right? So maybe few people need conversations to happen, but over the time, only content will be, let's say, there are 20-25 people, inside a show who are doing conversations, but it will only grow when there is one single people or couple of folks who are, doing something special for the audience. That is when that audio show ka, basically room size will be 1,000 or 1 lakh, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that was like we had to keep our distance. Then uh, when it is UGC, sometimes a lot of platforms they allow certain kind of stuff to gain traction, but we have been very very moderation heavy from the
Mm-hmm.
beginning. So this is somewhat, sometimes it feels like a challenge because you have to compromise on certain growth elements to
Right.
make sure that you are working on something which is long term. Of
Correct.
course, creator monetization and all these kind of stuff. Basically, those are challenges, and those are the challenges which we are not solving for right now, but will be solving for it soon. We know that it is like very very important, side of the entire ecosystem which we need to solve for. But more than that, Abhinay, actually, basically for audio content creators, the first thing which doesn't even exist is the following, the kind of influence, basically they can have in general in community, that doesn't exist, right? So in
Mm-hmm.
audio, most of the podcasters even in India right now, those are celebrity podcasters, right? There will be very very few stories who have grown from, basically they have taken a bottoms up approach and they have grown to be a celebrity. So it's more of Ranveer Alabadias of the world, Dhruv Ratis of the world, who are doing
Right.
well in audio podcasts. So first what we wanted to solve was for discovery and them able to build communities around their content, around them, and making sure that there is some real time interaction happening between these two side of the ecosystem.
It's a tough problem. Creators come because they will get followers, right? Subscribers over time. And subscribers or followers come because they find good content, right? It's always a tough problem. Most of the marketplaces, where it is, in a way, when I say marketplace, it's not actually marketplace, but yes, a two-sided supply and demand is needed, right? In your case, how do you ensure your listener retention? What are the challenges and what are the few things you have done to ensure that listeners stay hooked to your app, they keep your app, they do not uninstall, they're very happy with your app? If you can share a few of the ideas or something that you have done that has worked, that would be great too. Yeah.
Correct. So for us, basically, the first and foremost priority is delivering a great experience. Now,
Mm-hmm.
one is like the UX side of the platform, the app, the It Studio, right? So we are very consistent with our designs. We feel 58% of my base is between 16 to 24 in age, very young students, right?
Okay.
Followed
Uh-huh.
by another 28% from between 24 to 34. So 85% of the base is like relatively young college going students, first job, second job. And this base, they are like very very choosy also, right? Until unless you deliver them something great, they won't stick to the platform. So for us, basically it's two things. One is the the platform experience in terms of UX. So it's very Gen Z. It's very very upscale kind of product which we have built. The second side is the kind of content we do. Now we are focusing a lot more on personalization, recommendation. It's a work in progress. It will take some time,
Mm-hmm.
uh, but we have good enough depth in basically content library right now. And
Mm-hmm.
the the current challenge for us to solve is that how can we showcase right content to the right user, so that
Got it.
if we are able to solve that, I think we are there on the retention part. Listeners will retain because there's no other Indian platform which is able to deliver such kind of content and user experience.
Better. Awesome. There is one question I generally asked earlier, but I forgot to ask you. Key, what are the KPIs, right? That is like, within your company, everyone keeps looking at that. Hey, this is something that we are focused on, D1 retention, D30 retention, or time spent, whatever it is, right? What are the few KPIs that is like, discussed day in, day out? Product team is shipping us, looking at it. You are looking at it. Everyone is kind of ensuring that this is the North Star that we have, and maybe some other KPIs that you focus on.
So our primary North Star is per user time spent, how much, because that is a proxy for a lot of factors, right? Are we able to serve
Engagement.
right
Yeah.
content to the right user at the right time? So per user time spent or engagement, you can say. Uh, how many events basically they're able, basically by event I mean basically how many product user interactions are happening for inside live, inside publish, right? Uh, so primarily on the engagement side, we track per user interactions and the time spent. But of course, retention, basically it's an hygiene which everyone in the team, even if when they are coming from content background, we first
Right.
basically tell them what retention is and how important it is for us to keep a track of it. Because as a consumer media company, if you don't have a good retention, uh, basically then you have not achieved your PMF, right? So we keep striving to improve our retention, D1 as well as basically month one, month two, month three.
Before we let you go, right? If there is any message that you would like to give to fellow entrepreneurs or just starting up, maybe somebody in campus who's thinking, right, should I do this thing or not? Or if there is some message that you would like to give to other early stage founders, that would be great.
I think it's like for me, for us, one of the biggest enabler was that we were able to track data, track, basically the right events at the right set of the time. So for my one of, matlab, even in my network, whosoever approaches me that who wants to get started with a new idea, I tell them that get your tracking in place. So I
Right.
feel it is like very, very important from the day one itself. Otherwise, you won't be able to make any decisions. It will be primarily out of bias, right? So, and a lot of times users also won't tell you the right feedback. You have to guess it. Looking at their journey, how they are interacting with the product. So for that, tracking is like super, super, super important.
Right, right. Awesome. So keep your data and data tracking ready from day zero. That's the message, Mohit has. It's a great conversation we had, Mohit. I learned a lot of things. Audio as a format is something I am not. I'm also exploring. Right, there is so much to learn there, and I can relate to a few of the insights that you have given. Right, where what happens, how to build a community, whether you should build a community at the start or not. So these are some great learnings we had in this conversation. Thank you so much for taking out time and doing this recording with us.